Welcome to the Folklorama at Home, the virtual experience, brought to you by the Manitoba Government Stay-at-Home Program. My name is Tanya, and I'll be your travel guide as we check out cultures from around the world, especially those in our own backyard. If you want to chat with us during this experience, feel free to chat just right below. Otherwise, let's sit back, relax, and start our first adventure with my friend, TiBert le Voyageur, Rob Mello. Hey, Rob, how are you?
Bonjour, it's going very well.
Good. Thank you for coming. So you're Rob Mello in real life.
Yes.
And you're TiBert le Voyageur as your character.
Yes.
Now explain the difference.
For me, there's very little difference between the two for me. A lot of people don't realize that it's a bit of a name play because my real name is Robert. And I'm not very tall. I am petit, which is small. And petit Robert, TiBert, that's the nickname in French. So in our French tradition, if you look at our genealogy or family books, every uncle, every aunt have a T name. Which
Wow.
is, so it's not the first syllable usually, it's like the second or third syllable. So if you want your own French Canadian name, just figure out your T name, which is T something, unless you're very tall. Then you get called grand, which is like usually the one person in the room who's tallest.
And there's a G in your name somewhere?
Well, it's grand and then the part of your name. So grand Tom or grand.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's the tradition of the name.
Okay.
And Mom used to call me Rob when she was happy and Robert when she was upset. So Rob.
I'm sure we all go through that sometimes.
So that's the name play. So Rob Malo is what people call me often. Robert is what my close friends and family call me. TiBert is what people call me when I'm on stage.
Okay. Yeah. Now, who is TiBert le Voyageur?
Well, TiBert he showed up a long time ago in my imagination anyways. I worked at Fort Gibraltar in my 20s.
Okay.
And when we worked there, we pick voyageur names. So
Ooh.
And I wanted to be the nondescript voyageur. I didn't, because there's in the journals of the voyageurs, when you read the history journals, there's always this voyageur that doesn't get named. They just refer to them as the worker or as the voyageur or as the engagé.
Okay.
And
An engagé, is that worker in French?
well, engagé is hired man.
Okay.
And that's in the fur trade language is what the voyageurs were often referred to. Voyageurs is what they kind of call themselves.
Okay.
But the bosses call them the engagés, which are the hired workers. Okay. So I wanted to be that nondescript person. So instead of picking a name of a real person that worked at Fort Gibraltar 200 years ago, I said, well, just call me TiBert. And I become this nondescript voyageur. And I fill in all the worst of roles because, you don't give a person a name that you're asking to do like horrible jobs to.
Right.
So that was the goal. And then years went by. I ended up working at the Manitoba Museum for a while. I worked at the St. Boniface Museum. I was a tour guide. I really loved that job. And eventually it became clear that I should become TiBert full-time to not be stuck in a building and be all over the place.
So you actually, when we could, go to schools, and now you do it virtually. So how do you bring TiBert to the world?
Well, I've offered a whole variety of virtual opportunities for schools to log on, which I've been doing quite a bit of that, which are interactive presentations. Technology is a wonderful thing, so even a voyageur learns to adapt. And soon enough, if we get to do outdoor shows in the spring and summer, I absolutely look forward to being back in front of crowds because that's really where I think great connections happen.
Absolutely. What do you teach your crowds or kids?
Well,
there's so many things. I know we're going to learn some today. Yes.
We certainly learned how to wear a ceinture fléchée, which is a very important garment to the voyageurs and to my French, Canadian, and Métis cultures because I'm a bit of both in both those worlds. And I juggle. So we learned to juggle.
This is a special voyageur trait.
We don't know if voyageurs.
Well, they had to entertain themselves, right?
3 rocks goes.
They didn't
along
have the internet.
No,
so,
that's right.
Yeah.
And balance for voyageurs is a really big deal, right? You're in a canoe all the time, so balancing heavy bellows. But in my case, I like to balance paddles on my face.
Great.
So we do that. play
we
music.
covered for that? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. We're good. I like to play jaw harp and harmonica, so we'll play music together. And furs and all kinds of other artifacts are always present. So we could always talk about just about anything about Canadian history, because that's my passion.
Yeah. Why do you love sharing your heritage?
Well, it's who we are. I think it's not so much about loving sharing who I am, as I love to hear other people's stories, and I feel as though we need to show by example. So if I want to hear your story, I have to demonstrate my story in a certain way, so then we could relate to each other. So then I find that this place as a storyteller has really allowed me to do that. Is mostly listen to other people's stories, because it puts me in a place where in festivals and in schools, and people after a show will come and tell me their stories because they want to share who they are too.
Right.
So that's, I think, what I do. I put on a show. I like putting on a show, but really it's creating a connection where we can be comfortable being ourselves and learning from each other.
That's beautiful. Well, I don't know about you, TiBert and Rob, but I think we're ready for our next adventure. So, shall we get going?
I'd love
Okay,
it.
come on. Vas-y, let's go.
On y va!
So, TiBert, we're going to become voyageurs. What is this?
Well, you need to wear a ceinture fléchée to be a voyageur in the canoes anyways.
Okay.
And you need to wear it properly so it gives you good back support and saves on hernias. So for that, you need to stretch it out, and you need a friend
Okay.
to do it. So go ahead and pull as hard as you want.
Okay.
This is not going to rip. This is
Okay.
made out of wool.
Very
so
strong.
Very, very tight. And I put it up against my belly, and I'll turn into it. Just tourne. I turn,
This
just
is
tourne.
good for canoeing too, right?
Yes,
Straight
well,
back.
that's the whole point.
Yeah.
Yep. Now, when I get to my friend, I say merci beaucoup. Huh? And I run my hand down the edge, comme ça. I grab the other end, and I pull it back up. Et voilà.
Oh,
My
c'est bien.
ceinture fléchée is on. Ready for a canoe trip? Ready to keep my back nice and strong.
Now, I've seen these before, but they've been different colors. Is there a reason why? Is there a set voyageur one?
Well, historically, voyageurs wore mostly the red color.
Okay.
That's mostly what it is. But nowadays, families have come up with their own colors, and also the Métis have come up with the Métis sash. So it now represents many cultures and many families, and I think that's a wonderful thing.
Fantastic. So what's next on our adventure?
Well, we're gonna go canoeing, of course.
Of course. So TiBert, on those cold winter nights around the fire, how would you entertain the voyageurs?
Well, just like every voyageur, I love a good, healthy competition.
Oh, yeah.
But I also love a good story.
Ooh.
And this happens to be a story about a competition.
Okay.
So I'm gonna need your help.
Okay,
And
I'm
I'm
ready.
gonna need your help too. Right, it's a canoe type story, so we're gonna need to be in canoes.
Okay.
Which means we need very good, and we need paddles.
Paddles.
Pull out your
Right.
paddle. Pull out your paddle.
You don't have an engine.
No, that's right.
No.
You are the engine.
No, you got your
Yeah.
paddles too, I hope.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now we're just gonna give those paddles a little go. Here's a good paddling song. J'entends le moulin, tic tic tac. J'entends le moulin, tac. Okay, let's try it all together now.
Okay, ready?
J'entends le moulin, tic tic tac. J'entends le moulin, tac. Very good, very good. So that's a good paddling song. But this is a story about a race on Lake Winnipeg.
Like a canoeing race.
Canoe. This actually kind of happened. And this story is based off of what really happened. And it was between a bunch of voyageurs in their canoes as we practiced, but it was also the other company. So the voyageurs were working for the Northwest Company, and the Hudson's Bay Company was there on the lake too. But they weren't in canoes.
Oh.
They were in York boats.
Speedboats. Oh.
No, not speedboats.
No, speedboats. Okay.
Not yet.
No.
They would have won the race. Well, now, York boats do not paddle like this, right? They have oars.
Oh.
They row. They row.
There's a song about that.
Do you know a good rowing song?
I think I do.
Okay, let's go like this.
Okay.
Row, row, row your boat gently down the stream.
You know this song.
Merrily, 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 life is but a dream. Very good, very good. Now we've got our two songs, which means we can start the race.
Okay.
The way it happened is they would race for 24 hours. That was
24 hours.
well, you have to start somehow, and it's when the sun comes up, the race would start,
Okay.
and they would race all the way to the next sun up, and the boat that would be the furthest will have won the race.
Makes sense.
So, York boat and canoe line up, waiting for the sun to come up on the horizon. So you be a York boat,
Okay.
and you can choose at home. You could either be a York boat or a canoe. I'll be in the canoe. Tanya's in the York boat. Very good, stretching behind.
Yeah, it's important.
Now, they both waited for the sun to come up, and when the sun came up, everybody started paddling or rowing. Jump dans le moulin, tic tic tac, jump dans le moulin, tac, jump dans le moulin, tac. Now, the canoes took off super fast. Canoes are fast on the takeoff, and they paddled hard, those voyageurs. They paddled so hard that at around noon, they looked back, they couldn't even see the York boat. The York boat were so far behind that the voyageurs decided, you know what? Time to have a bit of a snack. You know, a little bit of pemmican, some dried bison meat, and the voyageurs started eating their pemmican. But the tripsmen, they didn't stop. Those in the York boats, they kept rowing. Row, row, row your boat gently down the stream.
It's like the turtle and the hare.
Well, eventually, the voyageurs spotted the Hudson's Bay Company coming. So they dropped the pemmican, grabbed the paddles, and started paddling. Jante dans le moulin, tic tic tac, jante dans le moulin, tac, jante dans le moulin, tic tic tac, jante dans le moulin, tac. But this time they didn't slow down, not till at least, well, sundown. And it was dark, but the moon was out, and they kept paddling deep into the night. So deep that, well, paddling like that tires you out. Now, the York boat was so far behind that the voyageurs decided to have a bit of a nap. Just 20 minutes, they said.
Okay.
But the York boat didn't slow down.
It's not a 20-minute grandpa nap, it's a 20-minute.
We'll see what happens.
Okay.
Row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. Well, the York boat, the moon was still up, could see the voyageurs slumbering. So they went by very quietly. Row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. And they went right past the sleepy canoes. But after a while, those York boats, they saw that the sun was going to come up soon. They thought they were winning the race, and they were so happy they started, well, chanting, row, row, row your boat gently down, which woke up the voyageurs. The voyageurs woke up. Jante dans le moulin, tic tic tac, jante dans le moulin, tac, jante dans le moulin, tic tic tac, jante dans le moulin, tac. The voyageurs were able to catch up, and the York boat was up front, and then the voyageurs in their canoes, they were up front for a little while, and then the York boat, and then the voyageurs, and then the York boat, and then the sun came up.
What happened?
Well, what do you think happened?
Voyageurs won?
I wish. I told you this was based off of a true story. This actually happened. And there's a true winner. And it's the Hudson's Bay Company.
Oh.
Yeah, but they're in York boats. Their boats are made for Lake Winnipeg. The voyageurs were in canoes. Those are made for rivers.
Oh.
If we had the same race on a river with a couple portages,
Yeah, would have been there.
I bet you those voyageurs would have won.
Completely.
Yeah, and that's the race on Lake Winnipeg.
How many other ways do you entertain?
Well, every voyageur likes a good jig and likes to, well, even play some music. And I've got a
Ooh, I
few
love
instruments to show
music.
you. Yeah. Well, let's pull out the instruments and play.
Sounds good.
I have with me my favorite instrument. It's got many different names. Some people call it a jaw harp, and that's a good name. But my pépère had a much better name. He calls it a ruine babine, and it sounds like this. Now, ruine babine is a very apt name. Ruine means to ruin. Babine, those are my babines. Yes, it's a ruiner of lips. It's a sharp piece of metal that bounces in and out between my teeth. And if it touches my lip, it'll cut. If it touches my tongue, it cuts. I've already chipped a tooth playing this instrument. So even though it sounds really cool, it might not be the first one you want to learn. But that being said, everybody always asks, TiBert, how do you play the jaw harp or une babine? Well, if it's not in my mouth, it doesn't sound like much. That's it. But when I put it in my mouth, one note, that's all it does. The rest, I have to do. And it starts with breathing. Go on, breathe with me, let's practice. Another thing it really likes is clicking sounds. It likes tonguing movements like this. Go on. Very good. It loves vowels. I'm sure some of you know your vowels. It starts with A, E, I, O, U, and sometimes Y. En français, A, E, I, O, U. Écoutez. Do you hear those vowels? And when I play them all together? A-A-E-E-I-O-U-U, A-A-E-E-I-O-U. And when you mix all of that together, well, you can play some music. I'm here with, well, my harmonica and my washboard. A washboard is very practical when you need to wash your clothing, especially if all you've got is river water and a bit of soap. Then what you need to do is you put soap on the dirty clothing, and then you would rub it on the washboard. And that's how as voyageurs clean our clothing. But a washboard with a few sticks goes a long way. And a harmonica, which a voyageur did not have, but it's something my uncles like to play.
So what are other ways that you entertain voyageurs throughout your voyage?
Wow, a couple juggling tricks is probably going to go a long way.
Can we see those?
Sure.
Awesome, I'll get out of your way.
I did not always know how to juggle. I had to learn to do that. And when I want to learn something, the first thing I do is go get a book. And I found a juggling book. It had 3 balls stuck to it, but it was a very short book. It only taught me one trick. Yeah, 3-ball juggling. But I wanted to learn more tricks. I wanted to be able to do all kinds of things. And this book, as I said, was just 1 page long. So I had to use my imagination. I had to invent some new tricks. And, well, I went outside. I went outside for a walk. That's what I do when I'm searching for inspiration. And when I was outside, I saw something in the sky. It was a day where the sun was out, but it was also raining. What else do you think I saw? Of course, a rainbow. And that became my next trick. So I learned from a book and I learned from nature. And I thought, well, I can learn from just about anything. And I live close to downtown Winnipeg. That's a great big city with great big buildings. And I thought, aha, skyscrapers. That could be a nice trick too. So I learned from a book, I learned from nature, I learned from architecture. And I figured I could learn from water. Yeah, I saw a beautiful fountain, and the fountain was throwing water up in the air like this. And now and again, the water would go in the middle, and people would go, ooh, ah. That was your cue. If you didn't know, I need you to ooh and ah with me if we're going to be watching the beautiful fountain together. Ooh, ah, oh. But while I was watching this beautiful fountain, a dog jumped into the water. Yes, it was swimming after a frisbee. A lady was throwing the frisbee and the dog was jumping in the water and jumping after it. And I thought, I learned from a book. I learned from nature. I learned from architecture. I learned from beautiful water. I bet you I could learn from a dog. Wait a minute. Did dogs juggle? I had to use my imagination. I was watching the dog swim, doggy paddle, and I thought that could be my next trick, juggling like a dog. And that is how I learned to juggle. Now I'm a voyageur, and I love to juggle, but I've always wondered, how would a voyageur juggle? Well, we love to play spoons. And as voyageurs, we got 2 spoons. We usually play music with them, but I figured if we like to play spoons, and I like to juggle, maybe I can spoon juggle. All right, let's see. What kind of new tricks can I come up with? Wait a minute. Oh no, I've got sticky spoons. I should have washed my spoons before juggling with them. No, they're not sticky at all. That was just my first set of tricks. I hope they were good enough, but if that didn't please you, I guess some old classics might work, like behind the back, whoop, behind the other back, whoop. Huh? Under the leg, yep, under the other leg, whoop. And then we're doing a little voyageur jig, hip, whoop, hip. I see. You want more. I understand. We always want a better trick. Hop, hip, hop, hip, hop, hip, hop, 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 hop. Ah. But wait a minute. I've been juggling with 2 spoons and 1 ball. I bet you there's some tricks I can come up with only 1 spoon and 2 balls? I think it's doable. I think I could juggle 2 balls on the same spoon. Now I had to practice this trick. That's right, I had to come up with a way to practice. Hand to ball, hand to spoon, spoon to hand, and eventually, hop, 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 hop. Ah. Wait a minute. A really good trick would be a trick I could do with only 1 ball and 1 spoon. What kind of trick could I do with 1 ball and 1 spoon? I know. Wait a minute. Juggling usually requires at least 3 balls. 3 balls and 2 spoons. Let's get the balls up first. Up. Ha. Ha, ha. For a voyageur, nothing is more important than balance. And whether you're in a canoe or wearing snowshoes, balance goes a long way. But for the next balancing trick, I need a friend. I need a partner. Tanya, can you come and help me with some balancing?
I am here. I am scared.
Very good. Don't worry. We won't do
Okay.
the snowshoe.
Okay.
But we do have paddles.
Okay.
So let's grab our paddles. There is a trick to balancing, and the trick is to always keep your eye on the tip top of the object. So there you go. Put that
Okay.
Put that
Now
on
a
your
flat
hand there like
palm?
that. Yeah, I need practice.
Okay.
Just keep an eye on it. You
Yeah.
got it. You got it.
If I
Very
hit any
good.
camera people, I
Very good.
apologize. Whoop.
And then you move on to harder things like
From my left hand.
even on your thumb or over your head or things like that. Or
Oh, not bad.
using even bigger paddles. And you're doing great.
Hey.
Well done, Danielle. Look at that. Now, I do have a trick that everybody can do from home.
Okay.
So I'm going to pull out a big paddle. I'm going to practice that, which means you need to go pull out wooden spoons.
Wooden spoon.
I think everybody's got that.
I'm on it.
right?
Everyone, go get your wooden spoons.
All right. Come on back, Tanya. Come on back.
I'm afraid to come back to Bear.
Oh, don't worry, don't worry. We're fine, we're fine, we're fine. You got yourself a wooden spoon?
How did you do that with your beard?
It's the beard.
It's the beard.
It's the beard.
Now,
Now, wooden spoons. Much the same trick. Put out your hand. Now, the flatter your hand can be, the easier the trick will get. You put the wooden spoon right in the middle of the palm there, right in the middle of the palm. And keep staring at the tip top. That's the trick. You stare at the tip top.
Not at your hand.
Not at your hand, not at your friend, not at the TV. There you go. Look at that. Well done. Now, at first, it'll take a little bit of practice,
Okay.
but try and try again. And that is how you balance a spoon. Well, Tanya, that was a splendid time. And I know that the folks at home that participated, well, I know that they are voyageur worthy. And I see that you are all voyageured up. You are definitely all honorary voyageurs today. And, well, I must say, you do look good in that sash.
Oh, merci TiBert. It's been such a great voyage with all of you with TiBert. Merci beaucoup. Thank you all for joining us for the Folklorama at Home, the virtual experience. Stay tuned to our social media channels at Folklorama, our website, folklorama.ca, to see what's coming next week. Thanks for coming.
Au revoir.